Welcome to the Cedar Falls Board of Education meeting on June 10th, 2019. We want to thank you all for joining us. For those of you who are joining online, if you'd like to follow along on our agenda, you can go to our website at cfschools.org and go to the school board section, and there you will find our agenda for today's meeting if you'd like to follow along. We have a full agenda this evening, including many of you that would like to share and speak, and so without further ado, we will move into the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Susie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jenny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to public comment. This is an important section of our meeting. And I just want to remind everyone that our school board meetings are in general governed by the Iowa Open Meetings Code. And public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to come before the school board and express their opinion about different things that are happening with our school board. And anyone that would like to speak at our meetings needs to inform our district office or the board by 4 p.m. on the day of the meetings. And so each of the individuals that will be speaking this evening have all informed the school board or the administration of their intention to be able to share at today's meeting. The other thing I'd like to point out is that each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. And so it's a 3-minute, and so we'll be setting a timer for each speaker. And what I just ask is that you're going to hear the alarm, or if you hear me say your time is up, just finish the sentence that you're on. And that'll be kind of, it's irregardless of what your subject is or where you're at. We just need to respect that 3-minute time frame so that each person has an equal time to be able to share their comments at today's meeting. So having said that, we'll move on to our first person that would like a public comment this evening, and that is Annalise Gilbert. Annalise, please step up. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Annalise Gilbert. In the previous year, I was a student at Orchard Hill Elementary. Recently, I had the privilege to experience our school being updated. I think that we should have the same thing with the new high school. How many people here have had a school of theirs be redone? Well, I have, and I'm glad we did because it's more positive and open environment. I think this makes it a lot better for students and staff. The first reason I think we have a better environment is that it's more positive. In the new space, teachers don't have to run through snow and sleet to get to another portable. Now they only walk a little bit to discuss lesson plans, students, and more. Same for students. Before, I didn't see half of my friends or get to interact with other students and staff. Now we have a common space for 5th and 6th graders to learn and collaborate on projects. Overall, our school is more positive and interactive. Our environment is more open physically and mentally. Physically, we have more space now that changes at my school have been made. Instead of being cramped in a portable, we have movable furniture and natural light, and it helps to make our learning environment much more positive and productive. Mentally, we can work together in the same space, when before that wasn't possible. I know that people don't all have connections to the high schoolers, so they don't want to pay more taxes. However, I believe Cedar Falls needs to continue to better our schools so we can better the future for all of our town citizens. To continue to allow our awesome community to be a great place to live and work, we need to make changes. Please vote for a new high school. Your town's future education depends on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Annalise.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Greenlee Wilkes. Are you here?
Hi, my name is Greenlee Wilkes, and I'm going into 9th grade at Holmes this fall. I grew up going to Lincoln kindergarten through 6th grade and have attended Holmes 7th and 8th. Ever since I can remember, I have had the privilege of experiencing a comfortable environment to learn in, as well as one-to-one technology, whether that was iPods, iPads, Chromebooks, and/or smartboards in each classroom. My teachers have always kept up with the technology in our schools because they know how important it is for us to be competitive in today's day with regard to education. From what I know of the current high school, next year I will basically be walking back in time about 40 years when I enter that building. The high school will be over capacity by the time I get there, and even worse for the grades to follow. Classrooms will be 30 or more students if the bond fails. Even if this bond passes, I will not have the opportunity to attend the new high school. But that isn't the point for most of us. When you invest in a school, you are investing in the community as a whole. When I hear people say, I went there and it was fine, it seems like a selfish standpoint. Most of us are looking to generations ahead, not what was behind us. My hope is that with this vote, people are not thinking about what worked in the past. I hope people are wanting to evolve within our community. We have so many things to be proud of in the Cedar Falls School District. Our teachers, administrators, school boards, sports teams, and students. The current condition of the high school is unfortunately not one of them. It is very disappointing to me that the highest level of education in our school district has the worst environment for learning. I'll close with my biggest concern. People who attended Cedar Falls High School 20 plus years ago didn't have a lingering fear of gunmen potentially entering the school. Today, it is a legitimate concern. The numerous entrances throughout the school are not only cause for concern, they provide potential easy access to people who could cause harm. Thank you for the opportunity to share my concerns. A vote for a new high school is a vote to provide a safe and quality educational experience for our future high school students.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Mariah Baskerville.
Hi, I'm Mariah Baskerville, former student at Orchard Hill Elementary. I am going into Pete Junior High, and in 3 years, I will be in high school. Yet, I want to be in a high school that is a perfect fit for us Tigers. And I have noticed that our high school that we have now could use some fixes. Knowing that our high school needs fixes, some of them show that we might need to build a brand new high school, perfect for us Tigers. We should have a good and stable learning facility because we have a growing population, and above all, it can keep yours or someone else's kids safe. There were 70 kids at Orchard Hill in my grade and 6 other grades at other elementary schools. About 70 for each, that's about 400 kids coming all at once to our high school. We can barely fit what we have now in our old high school, and how are we supposed to fit 400 kids plus new kids to come? Cedar Falls is a growing town we call our home. New families with kids who are coming are going to go to our high school. How are we supposed to fit new kids plus all of the Tigers that are going there with a school that can barely fit what we have now? We can keep yours or someone else's kid safe. Heat is bad during beginning and ending of the school because that's summer. People could potentially pass out, and no one would want that to happen to their or someone else's kid. We have a portable outside for class, and it's still there for winter, and it could cause falls, and it's not safe. With a new high school, we wouldn't have to worry about portables because there would be enough room for everybody, and there would be no injuries. A lot of school shootings have going on, and it's possible for it to happen to us. We would have newer technology to keep your child safe, and we would have more ways to keep them safe as well, and not going only to technology. So, hopefully by now, I persuaded you to pass the bond and vote yes for the high school. A high school would give us a better place where kids can learn as our population grows, and above all, it's a place where your kid or someone else's kid can feel safe to learn. This all concludes up to one thing, that us Cedar Falls Tigers should have a good and stable facility to learn in. Thank you for taking your time to come and listen.
Thank you, Mariah. Ellie Shimp.
Hi, I'm Ellie Shimp. I'm a recent graduate from Cedar Falls, and I'm here to talk about the accessibility of the school. In July, I became permanently disabled from a accident on the water, and so my senior year was filled with trying to figure out how to use the high school in a different way. One problem that I had was with the elevator. You guys know that the school is 3 stories, however, we only have 1 elevator at that school in general. And so to get to the elevator in time to get to your next class, you have to leave your other class early enough to beat the crowd and to get on the elevator first. We have multiple students who are already disabled there, and also who are many sports injuries that use the elevator constantly. The second thing that I struggled with most was the basements. They don't connect, and so the most direct way to get to the next one is outside, and with Iowa being Iowa and the snow and the rain, all that's tracked through the halls is just water. And it becomes a problem with people who are on crutches, which I was from November to March, and so it's just hard and terrifying to walk with crutches and hopefully that you don't fall, which will injure you more than you already are. The third thing that I struggled with was the sizes of the classrooms. Regarding the students, the classrooms just aren't big enough in general. With the desks and the tables and the chairs, trying to fit a wheelchair or crutches that take up space is a big challenge, and it draws attention to you when the last thing you want is more attention. I can't count how many times I've hit something with my wheelchair or the crutches that I had, and so I think a solution to that would just have broader, maybe deeper school rooms that would help with bringing more students in and just having more accessible areas for people who need accommodations. So I challenge you all maybe to even go to the school, use crutches and a wheelchair, and try to use the elevator once and try to get to classes on all 3 levels and even going outside. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sabrina Leisticow.
My name is Sabrina Leisticow. I'm 17 years old and have just completed my junior year at Cedar Falls High School. I wanted to start off by saying that I love my school, just not the building. I love that the high school has been a place where I have met my best friends and gotten to spend time with them. What I don't love is having to pack up my lunch into paper boats and brown paper sacks and carry it up to the 2nd floor where we eat in one of our social studies teacher's classroom because the cafeteria is too small to accommodate even a third of our high school population at a given time. I love and am so thankful that our high school offers a variety of courses, including AP and Hawkeye concurrent classes, which I have gladly taken advantage of. What I don't love is that our basements aren't even connected, which means that I have to trudge across the concrete pavement during all seasons of the year in order to get to my next class on time. This means sunshine, snow, rain, and any other thing that Mother Nature can think to offer. I love being able to choose the clothes I wear and use them as a form of expression. What I don't love is never knowing how to dress. In the math hall, 2nd floor social studies, and parts of the 1st floor, it gets unbearably hot and often forces classes to move to the library because of the distraction the heat causes. Whereas in other parts of the building, teachers are fortunate enough to have air conditioning in their rooms. I love all of my teachers and am grateful to have such a wonderful support system at the high school. What I don't love is that while I switch classrooms each period, there are teachers that have to stay in the scorching classrooms and teach all day, every day. The high school is their place of work, and its current conditions would not be tolerated at any other job. The list goes on as to why I love the high school, but it also goes on as to why the building isn't meeting our needs. I love my school so much, but it is embarrassing that this community, with its incredible students, teachers, outstanding athletics, and academics, has a building that does not reflect those accomplishments nor meet our needs. I will be a senior next year, and if a new school were to be built, I would not reap the benefits that it will bring. I am not arguing for a new school because I am unappreciative of what I have now, but rather because I have empathy for the students that would have to attend the high school. See, it's not about me. It's about the current kindergartners, teachers, and the future of Cedar Falls that will attend and work at the high school. And that is what I'm asking for from the Cedar Falls community, is empathy. Our current school has served our community well, and all that passed through its doors will forever remember their time in its halls. But we are now at a time for change. School is different from what it was in the 1950s, and the best gift we can give to the future, the one that shows we care about the future of community and its kids, is a new high school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed Olthoff.
Thank you. My name's Ed Olthoff, 1310 West 7th Street, Cedar Falls. I was here a month ago and expressed some concerns about finances that I got out of the 2016 audit. And the 2017 audit came out since then. You got hammered. Looking back 10 years, 2007 dropped off your 10-year window with a plus $3 million surplus. You added a 2017 deficit of $7 million. Now you're at $38 million deficit in the last 10 years. It actually told exactly what your liabilities were in debt $66 million. Your vested, or your IPERS unfunded liability went from 23 million to 29 million. All I'm seeing is bigger dollars for this district. And I don't know how you think you're going to afford another bond and $43 million cash to pay for a new school. I do have a vested interest too. My son just finished his junior year. He's getting a great education. He's thriving at this school. I ask myself, would a new school make a difference for him? No, not a bit. I also kind of take issue with these documents you like to hand out. There's a lot of details in here that I want to focus on the nice pictures of the new Johnson High School. Really nice pictures in here. Not a kid in the school, but nice pictures. Nice gym. And then you get to the Cedar Falls pictures, and it's like, where'd you find these pictures? This is like apples to lemons. You're trying to find the worst pictures in this school and compare it to a new school district. Now, I want to say something more about Johnson, too. This you don't put in here. I wish you would. Johnson Construction Center, I quote, a bond referendum for $41 million was passed June 25, 2013, with a 66% approval rate. 66. In addition to construction of a new high school, the facilities include renovation of the current high school to make it an 8-9 Johnson Middle School, renovation of the 8-9 Johnson Middle School so it can be the Wallace Elementary School, and the old Wallace became the administrative building. I mean, they haven't thrown anything away. They're using all their old buildings again. And this is Johnson. Johnson's got 2,000 more students in their school district than you do. They pull $40 million in taxes, property taxes. You get 22. They only got a $41 million bond. I challenge you to look at these numbers and see if you can come up with something better. I have a lot of things to say else. Dr. Petit and I have talked, and you can get it from him.
All right.
Thank you.
Ed. Jim Skane.
Jim Skane. I come today to speak for the present Cedar Falls High School building. The current Cedar Falls High School building was completed in 1954. It has been serving the Cedar Falls community for 55 years. My contact with Cedar Falls High is personal. Both of our sons attended and graduated from Cedar Falls High. My son Jim graduated in 1979, and Todd graduated in 1983. Through the years, I have kept in touch with Cedar Falls High by following the activities that happened there. The teachers and students have produced high achievements in all activities that have taken place over the years. Recently, among those achievements are state champions and national honors recipients. For the last 2 years, the Cedar Falls High basketball team has won the state championship. This spring, the robotics team placed high in national competitions. CF High students have received National Merit Scholars and Presidential Scholarships. On May 7, 2019, Anita Chow was named a United States Presidential Scholar. The Cedar Falls High teachers and staff have been honored for their achievements, including Tammy Pham, special needs teacher, who was named a winner of the Gold Star Award for Outstanding Teaching in 2018. And I have not even mentioned achievements in all activities. I have not mentioned music and the arts, among others, that have produced outstanding student and teacher accomplishments year after year. Yes, the current Cedar Falls High School building has been the scene of magnificent accomplishments for 55 years, and it has lived up to its mission. The mission, and this is a quotation, of Cedar Falls High School is to provide a cooperative community where all students develop skills and attitudes to become lifelong learners. All happened in Cedar Falls High School building.
Okay. We've heard about overcrowding, all kinds of things. I'm here tonight. Larry Wyckoff, 4241 East Park Road, the best city in Iowa, Cedar Falls. I think there's this graduating class this year is like 1,300. The current high school has got a capacity of 1,500. And the thing that people are not talking about is the new high school would only have a capacity of 1,400. How can we go down in capacity when we got 1,500 capacity right now in the current school? It's been a joy to put out vote no signs for the last 2 weeks. People come flying out of their houses next to the ones we're at and want one in their yard. Citizens are sick and tired of being treated like cash cows for your projects without the due diligence of planning for these extreme expenditures. Taxes will be compiling, and there's going to be a speaker on that. Open enrollment continues to be an income line item, as noted in tonight's sheet, but no explanation of where that money is spent. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, citizens. We need to see detailed analysis of that source of income from the state to the tune of $6,900 per student. Completely irresponsible. Why are we leasing the River Hills building rather than owning it outright? I could not believe the paper yesterday. $648,000? Why would you propose moving the kids from that school up to the high school? It makes no sense whatsoever. Why wasn't PAPO funds used to keep the high school updated instead of taking sightseeing tours of the Keeping Up with the Joneses schools in Ames, Waukee, and Iowa City? Vote no on June 25th, or go down to the courthouse and make your vote count, because if not, your taxes are going to go up, and we don't want our taxes going up.
Thank you, Larry Wyckoff. Kim Krantz.
Good evening. My name is Kim Kranz, and I am the music teacher at Orchard Hill Elementary School. I have been teaching here in Cedar Falls for 9 years, up until the last 2 months teaching in a portable trailer classroom. I am advocating for the building of a new high school because I believe that my students and my community deserve better. I've had people ask me why teaching in a portable trailer isn't good enough for kids. There are certainly the obvious inconveniences that anyone could name, like that it's not fun to walk outside most of the time in Iowa to get to your learning space, limitations to some cooperative work even though it is part of our curriculum. Movement activities would cause things to fall off shelves and walls, and because of the lack of air filtration, kids' allergies and sometimes even asthma would be very active while in my classroom. But the two biggest reasons of all for me are sense of value and safety. What do I mean by a sense of value? I have heard the argument that a building doesn't make a good education, only teachers can do that. While that may seem flattering, I would disagree. I also don't think a brand new building or classroom alone can further students along in their education. I would argue, from someone who's in the trenches, so to speak, that it takes both fabulous educators and facilities that are safe, clean, have the ability to properly use current technology, and even can maintain a functioning temperature for students to be able to focus on learning. In education, we are taught that if students' basic needs aren't being met, then our best efforts will not be effective. Our current high school is not meeting basic human needs, and yet we are sending our children in with high expectations of succeeding at high levels. This doesn't add up. What was good enough 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40, and so on is not good enough now. Times have changed. The community has changed. Students have changed. The way students learn has changed. The resources we offer kids have changed. The way we teach kids has changed. The amount of diversified learning kids are expected to have by the time they leave high school to enter society has changed. We can keep trying to put a square peg in a round hole, but all we are doing is a disservice to the students in this community. Our students deserve to be in a building that meets their basic human needs and more if we expect them to excel. Our students' potential demands a facility that makes them feel safe. I remember a second grader asking me the day after Newtown if my walls were bulletproof. I don't even think the walls to my old portable trailer were insulated, let alone bulletproof. Spending thousands of dollars moving that portable trailer to another building to put different kids in to learn is not a solution. It's not safe. We can do better. My new classroom is constructed entirely of concrete because my classroom is a storm shelter for the school. As a teacher who is teaching in a new space, I can share that my students feel valued and safe. They are no longer shoved in a building out back or stuffed in a third-story classroom that's 90 degrees because our community saw their need and placed value in them. Our community supported their learning and hard work by deciding that a safe structure that meets their basic needs along with allocating for technology advances was necessary. I am voting yes on June 25th so that all Cedar Falls kids have access to a facility that meets their basic human needs and their educational development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie Becker.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Bring it down a little. Perfect. Okay. My name is Jamie Becker, and I graduated from Cedar Falls High School in 2015 with 360 students. And today I'm here to speak on behalf of some of my classmates, students who experience Cedar Falls, like Ellie and myself. I don't know. It's just very clear that it's time to make a change in our community. We've talked about the great teachers, the great students, all the accomplishments of our community, but we haven't made a change to actually support those people. In order for our community to continue growing, which it has, I don't even think some of the neighborhoods were here when I graduated high school only 4 years ago, that are now built and thriving, let alone the 7th elementary school. It's just time. Our school's growing, our community's growing, which is an excellent thing. It's bringing so many great people to our community, more students to help our community be successful. And I think the reason why I'm here is because I plan to invest in this community in the future. I plan to live here and grow a family here, and it's worth the investment. And that's why I hope everybody in the town of Cedar Falls can see. And I hope that people go online and see for themselves the actual stats. And I know that the people who are in charge of the projects are going to do the best they can to provide those different stats that people are asking. So I ask that that happens, that everybody can learn exactly what they need to know. You can go online and find that out. So we're growing out of our buildings. When my sister was in 5th grade, there were 2 sections of her 5th grade class. Now there are 4 at the same school, and there's a whole other elementary school. So those are just a few simple things. The elevator, huge problem at Cedar Falls. Ellie telling her story, it kind of breaks my heart to think about her having to, it's literally at the end of the hallway too. You have to crutch all the way down. You ride down 3 floors, you walk through the basement of the building, you go outside, and then you finally make it to the math wing, and if you're trying to go to lunch, you got a little farther to go. So students who have to use the elevator as a part of their routine, that's just impossible. There's also a portable outside of the high school right now. That will stay there, I'm sure, until a new high school is built or new changes are made. I wouldn't be surprised if more portables were added. So, yeah, I really encourage people to go out and learn, ask questions. There are people who want to be resources, and think about what you envision our community being in the next 50 years. Don't think about the past. The past was beautiful and great, and I'm so thankful for Cedar Falls, but look ahead to the future.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Troy Love.
I was hoping I could go first so I didn't have to follow some of these speakers here, but one young lady that was talking about the old people that graduated from Cedar Falls High School 20 years ago, and I graduated from Cedar Falls High School 35 years ago, so thank you for that. So, but there's a lot of different ways to look at this issue. I'm going to look at it through a business owner's perspective. Since I am a business owner in Cedar Falls, I really look forward to helping us to encourage to bring a higher quality employee to town. We have had some great success in the past, but it's time to continue to look for the future. One of the things that they brought up of the year that the school was built, and all I could think about, you know, we just got done with D-Day, right? And D-Day was about the greatest generation. And the greatest generation voted to build us a school. And I know that this generation cannot be compared to them, but I sure would like to be kind of in the same sentence, that my generation helped to build a new high school. There are some people that just vote no for everything. There's some people that just vote no because they don't want their taxes raised. I do not want my taxes raised. However, I'm so excited about the ability that it's going to provide for the future of this community. I was blessed to be able to put myself all the way from stinking Lincoln through Cedar Falls High School, and it was stinking back when I was there. And now I put 4 kids through Cedar Falls High School, and this is not going to benefit me in any way except for the pride that I have in Cedar Falls and the school board system. I really appreciate all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Troy. Kathy Pingle.
Hi, I'm Kathy Pingle, and I graduated from Cedar Falls High School. So did my husband and our 3 daughters. So we're longtime Cedar Falls residents.
Kathy,
I'm here.
pull it down
A little. I'm here just to present some financial facts. I just received a tax assessment notice, and I went down to the Blackhawk County Courthouse, found out that my taxes are going to go up $133 on this new assessment. My new assessment is $205,000. When I talked to the Blackhawk County Courthouse, they said that the average assessed value in Cedar Falls now is $181,757. So that's a new increase, $133 per year. Next, I went home and I drug out our tax bills for the last 3 years and noticed that Cedar Falls schools have gotten a tax increase of 2% a year for the last 3 years. So I added that up. That makes it about $180 that our taxes have gone up in the last 3 years, and I'm sure that's probably cost of living or whatever, but I'm sure that's going to be a tax that's going to keep going up. The second, while I was at the Blackhawk County Courthouse, I discovered that the tax bill we will receive in August for the new grade school and for the remodeling of the other grade schools, that bill we will receive in August of 2019. My increase on that will be $125 per year. Then I got the notice that you are going to increase by buying a new school, $69.9 million. I talked with the Iowa Board of Education about the rules. I talked to them about the debt ratio and tried to understand that because of the debt of the Cedar Falls school system, that is the reason that on the ballot, we will be asked to vote not only for the $69.9 million for the schools, we'll also be asked to vote that our this interest or this cost of this is going to go from $2.70, maybe as high as $4.05 per every $1,000 of assessed value of our home. My assessed value then on this bill alone will be $316 to $474 a year. So when you add this all up, our increase just on our little house is going to be from, in the next 3 years, $753 to $911, depending on what these bonds are sold at. So financially, I think that it's time that we scale this back on this new school and I'm asking everyone to vote no. And I think that we need to do some more research on how we can build a school that is less money. Thank you. Vote no.
Joe Bohr?
First of all, my wife taught us stinking oinkin for 20 years. So I also would like to comment on what wonderful young people we have here in the community and what a wonderful job the Cedar Falls schools have done with our young people. I was scrolling through the neighborhood association comments the other day, and I ran into a comment that really kind of bothered me, and it was from a senior. And the senior said that they were that all seniors were opposed to the new bond issue because their kids were gone, and therefore they didn't feel an obligation to support the school, and I would assume at that point the community as well. I'm a senior, and I'm in favor of the new school. My wife and I have raised 4 children. All 4 are Cedar Falls grads and UNI grads, and none of them live in the state of Iowa. It's important for me, for my wife, and I think for many of the seniors, that we keep the community together and that we do everything possible to be able to support our young people throughout our community. I think it's time that all of our age groups in the community get together and that we support this new school. We need to provide the facilities for them and the opportunities for them to succeed. The school, the teachers, the community have been wonderful supporters. It's time that we continue that tradition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Corey Wilson-Wood? Oh, I'm sorry.
I've gotten that my whole life. Thanks, sir. Good evening. My name is Tony Wood. My twins will start kindergarten at Lincoln in the fall and will graduate in 2032 from Cedar Falls High School. I live on 10th and Catherine in Cedar Falls, about a block from where 10th ends at Division in front of the high school. I would love to send my kids a block down the street to the high school, but not this high school. I have read extensively both sides of the issue. I have used my experience as a neighbor of the high school and speaking to students and teachers to come to this conclusion. We need a new high school. The current high school is not safe. There are multiple entrances that end up being watched by teachers after each class period, as the students have to use them to go outside and around the building to get to class on time. This is asking even more of teachers who are already overworked and underpaid. It is absolutely unfair to them to ask them to act as security guards. It is not fair in this age of school shootings to have anyone occupying the building have to worry about this safety issue. The current high school is landlocked and cannot expand any further. There's been a lot of talk about how the new high school may not accommodate nearly as many students as the current one. The thing is, though, because the high school is landlocked, it's not going to be able to be expanded. In a new area, it will be able to be expanded. Parking is a nightmare. Students come and go frequently throughout the day for classes at UNI and Hawkeye. I often won't let my kids play outside until after classes are out for the day. Winter, particularly when it was as bad as this year, makes it even worse. The location of the new high school just off Hudson will have secure entrances, be able to expand many times over in its life, and will provide students ample parking and a safer, more timely way to get to classes at other schools and back to the high school for more. The major reason I am voting yes to the new high school are the kids of Cedar Falls. The high school has served its purpose. It's educated more than 5 decades of students. The future of Cedar Falls resides in our children, and they deserve to have a better environment to go to school in. The truth is, the high school is in a state of disrepair. This will either need to be remedied by remodeling the current building or by building a new one. By now, the choice should be pretty logical. Think of the future and what kind of future you want for Cedar Falls. And on June 25th, please vote yes for the good of our students, teachers, and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. I'm Eric Giddens. I live at 1416 Madison Street in Cedar Falls. It's wonderful to be back with you again, now as your state senator, but perhaps more importantly, as a parent and a community member and a taxpayer. So I also want to thank the members of the community for their engagement. You know, we don't always agree on things, but it's important to be engaged. And I want to thank everybody who's putting themselves out there through this process. I want to remind everybody too that we all want what's best for our kids and for this community. Even though we may disagree, I think we can all agree that that's what we want. And to just encourage people that we need to try to keep this civil. So I want to share 6 brief points with you right here. The first was, in my time on the school board serving with you guys, I came to know one thing really deeply. We all came from different backgrounds, different walks of life, but we're all good and honorable people who have put themselves out there to do this work and without any compensation. So I want to applaud you. I enjoyed my time working with you immensely, and again, even though we may not have agreed on every single detail about everything, this job is not paid. You're all doing the best you can to do what's best for our kids and our community, and I appreciate that. You're honorable people. So I said while I was on school board that I supported this project, and I just want to restate that now. I am in support of this high school project. There has been lots and lots of analysis over a period of years, including lots of public participation. So we've had many opportunities over years for people to give public input. And all of the analysis, all of the information that we've gathered points to the need for a new high school. So in my view, it's time to follow that and to move forward with this project. So the second point, or the third point, is I want to make is that school finance is a very incredibly complex puzzle. I tried my best to learn as much as I could in the year and a half I was on school board. Still had tons more to learn, and I'm still trying to do that now as a state senator. We hire experts like Danelle Gonerman to do this work, and I appreciate the work that you do in managing our finances. There's an organization called the Iowa Association of School Boards that keeps an eye on all school districts' finances across the state and have an understanding of, that went really fast. I'm in support of this thing, and I apologize for that, but maybe I can come back and talk about it next time. Thank you.
Dave Deaver. I'm here to speak on behalf of building a new high school. I was part of the class of 1970 until I moved to Mount Vernon my senior year. Their high school was the same age as CFHS. It has now been torn down and they've built a new one. Vote yes for a new one. I went to Lincoln Elementary for 6th grade. It's been torn down and replaced. Vote for a new high school. I went 7th grade to Main Street Junior High. It's been torn down, now where the rec center is. Vote for a new high school. I then got to go to a brand new junior high school, Holmes Junior High. I'm sure no one liked paying for it, but it was time, and I thank them for it. When I was at CFHS, they built a new classroom wing. That wasn't free. We packed a lot of kids in that building. We had no classes, though, for special needs or college-level classes. It was a different time. No all-day kindergarten or preschool, no internet, no second graders learning how to program robots, no autonomous cars coming on board. I just visited my grandkids in Altoona. They have a new high school, Southeast Polk. Vote for a new high school. My niece teaches in a new high school in Ankeny. Vote for a new high school. It's taken parts, the administration has taken parts of the high school and remodeled them. There's a plan to repurpose them. Repurposing existing buildings like that are difficult. I've done it with Deal's Grocery Store. I'm doing it with the John Deere Tractor Works and the Tech Works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but there's always surprises. The current administration has done a good job in managing the construction of Aldrich Elementary, coming in under budget while adding additional classroom space. They've earned our trust on another project. Vote for a new high school. After 34 years of banking experience, reviewing multiple projects, this is the sound plan, and the district is in sound financial condition. This is like replacing the roof on your home. You don't like to spend the money, but if you don't, things will rot. If our community doesn't take care of our education position, people will choose other places to live. Watch out for your property values. A little higher property tax now might seem minor if your home value falls because there's no buyers. Where are the best new teachers going to go if our facilities won't support their classroom teaching techniques? Others before us did their part in keeping Cedar Falls schools at the top. Now it's our turn. Vote yes, June 25th, for a new high school.
Thank you, Dave. And that concludes all of our public comment. I just want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to come here. This is an important part of our meeting. We appreciate, on behalf of the board, we appreciate everyone providing input and comment. We understand that the bond issue is one that it's still a lot of passion among people, both pro and con, and I think, as one speaker said, we all have the best interest of our city and our schools in mind, and I would encourage all of you to vote on June 25th. This is a very important issue for our city and for our future. With that, turn it over to Dr. Petit for Superintendent Communications.
Yes. Again, thank you for everybody speaking this evening and certainly lending your voice to this. We greatly appreciate that. I think there's always an opportunity just to help clarify some components, and I think one of the things to really highlight, and I know board members know this extremely well, individuals that have students at River Hills. River Hills is not moving. River Hills is not shifting anywhere. And on the agenda this evening, which we have every year, is the River Hills approval for that lease agreement. We have a River Hills consortium, and the AEA always ran that program. They continue to run that program, but we're the fiscal agent for that program. So those dollars flow through us. The lease agreement is simply following Iowa code to make sure that we're good fiscal agents of that program, and that building is part of that lease agreement. So I think it's important to note that that is something that is not occurring. It's kind of one of those aspects that sometimes is thrown out there to cause fear. No, that's not moving, period. I think it's also important to note, a couple people talked about capacity and overall enrollment capability at the current high school and the new building. And I think this is where, again, it's an opportunity to try to cause misinformation to be out there. The new building has more capacity than the current building. As it's going to be built, it's going to have more opportunities for kids and more room for kids. However, I think where people try to cause miscommunication is the fact that if you remodeled the current building, added on to that site, even though it would be 118% of building new, apples to apple comparison, that building itself would be much larger than a new building due to the inefficiencies, the fact the building's been added on to 13 different times, and the fact that, again, it would just be a bigger footprint to be able to try to accommodate the same number of kids that a new building would have. It's just not efficient or effective. We sat down and had our auditor give us some information as well. And I think there was a discussion point about apples to apples. Sometimes, and I think one of our speakers talked about the fact that there are a lot of ways to view school finance. It's very cumbersome, but it's very important to understand that our auditor, when they go through an audit and they list liabilities, that they go through all the different aspects that are part of our school budget. And everything is not a bonded indebtedness. Some of the things that we pay out as we invest in new infrastructure is listed as actually a deficit in our audit. And what we asked our auditor to do was go back through the last 10-year summary and reveal what are deficits, what are surpluses, as far as the actual accounting as we look at it from home rule. And the response was, you actually show a $60 million surplus when you reduce out those different expenditures that show up as a liability in your accounting ledger for comparability reasons across school districts. So earlier the statement just isn't accurate because it's not comparing apples to apples, and especially with the IPERS pension liability. That is a comparison tool to ensure that there's no districts that are outliers or maybe on the extreme side. Our auditor stated this very clearly. This is not a liability that the district owes, nor is it a liability that the district will be paying out. So that is something that, again, as you throw those numbers out based on something written in a statement, those are based on Iowa code. It's not based on things that are actual payable expenses that the district incurs. And I think that's important to note as well, and something I think is important to clarify. Another comment that was made, I think, is just interesting to clarify. We know our levy rate's going to go down, so there's a comment about increased taxes in August. The levy rate's decreased by 10 cents, and I think as the board knows that, but I think it's important for our community to understand the levy rate went from $13.94, which again I think is the third lowest of the largest 25 districts in the state of Iowa, and actually is decreasing next year down to $13.84 per assessed thousand. So very important to note as well. Again, we appreciate all the comments. I think it's always a good time just to clarify some of those statements.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
I think there's some confusion about the fact that there's two questions on the ballot. And if you read that second question, it gives you the impression that it gives us an ability to, tax whatever we want. But that second question is really because of Iowa code, and the first question specifies that the maximum amount of money that we can raise for the high school is the $69.9 million, full stop. It doesn't matter. I mean, the second question is required by Iowa code, but the first question is what limits our ability. That caps the amount of funds that we can raise from the property tax owners. Correct, yes. Everything's based on Iowa code, and we follow Iowa code to a T. So the first question is the $69.9 million, and when we compare, Waukee just passed a $116 million bond. Ames just passed a $110 million bond, both for new high schools. We're asking for $69.9 million to have a similar high school that other communities in the state have. So the $69.9 million question, first question, is what drives the second question. And the second question is anytime you go over $2.70 for a bonded indebtedness, because it includes all of your bonded indebtedness, you have to ask for that second question. That's Iowa code. We have an elementary bond that was recently passed 3 years ago. That's what started off as $1.21 for assessed valuation per $1,000. We knew over time that would go down because that was a $32 million bond. As our community grows and more property buildings and residential units are added to our community, that levy rate decreases. And this year it's down about $1.12 or $1.13. I'd have to go back and specifically look at that. So that's added in to that. We know the high school bond will add $2 and I believe a little over 30 cents, so about $2.31. We have a great video that's out there right now. It's about a minute in length that really describes this in detail. The impact we initially said for a $100,000 home would be about $10.77 per month, and actually that's gone down now as we have the new numbers and assessed valuation. So first question drives the dollar amount. The second question, you cannot generate more property tax levy rate
because the dollar is set, the 69.9, the property impact will be roughly about $2.31, or right now about $10.60 per month on a $100,000 home.
Were there any other points that you guys as board members feel like need clarification?
I do have one question on IPERS. Has that always been part of our accounting, or is that a more recent change?
That's a new accounting measure that was put into place roughly 4 years ago. So a lot of it was due by some federal mandates and the state mandates, but it's really there to be a comparative measure to be able to look at are there any outliers or are there any areas of concern? That way there's some equality across the state as they look at the IPERS. And in the state of Iowa, obviously, all school districts are underneath IPERS, so it's very, very consistent as far as what that looks like, but it was a requirement that came about quite recently.
So that would, over the last 10 years, that would look like an explosion in debt, which really isn't the case.
It looks like a new liability has been placed on us when in actuality it's always been there. You've never had to calculate that before, but again, according to our auditor, very specifically, this is not a liability that the district owes, and it's not a liability that the district will be paying out. So it's something that you have to account for, but it's not a liability that is something that is payable.
Okay.
Yeah, from my limited experience with pensions, it's actuarial accounting. So it, for example, it can fluctuate up and down based on the number of participants, the age, how many retirees you have, and it is a number for which we have zero control. And it is an accounting rule which has placed it on our balance sheet as a liability, but it is not a liability that the school district is really responsible for. I mean, all the world would have to end for it to ever be a liability that the school district would ever have to actually incur. Good.
Thank you.
I just have one comment that this process has started long time ago. It's not something we've just been discussing the last couple of years. How long have you been here, Andy?
This is my 6th year.
Yeah, we started the process before Dr. Patty even started. I was on the school board for quite a while, and the need was seen to have a study done years and years ago to project where we would be now. We have actually been pretty consistent with those projections. We hired some firms to do all kinds of studies then. This has not been a sudden decision. This has been a very, very long time researched, thought out process. And kudos to all of you who've really worked on it, and to all the folks that we've hired. And every time the community asked us for more information, we went out and we got more information. We did a little more research. We dug a little deeper. So this is not something that has been a recent decision or recommendation. It's been a long time coming, and based on true long-term growth.
And I'd just like to back up what Susan said and what our new state senator, added, Eric, in our audience is this has been a years-long process, and every question that continues to be brought up is addressed on the district website in detail. It is very clear, it's very easy to understand, and I'm proud that as a district, I think we have told a better narrative of the reasons and just the challenges we face. It's factual, it's based on experience, and I just hope if people continue to have questions, your best option is to go and really look at that, because it does address in detail. It talks about where we were at as far as numbers of students in the high school and where we are at now. It explains all of these things, and I just encourage people to become educated in terms of their continuing concerns or questions before they come to vote, because we have done a very diligent job, I believe, as a board over a multitude of years to address these and really provide clear explanations of where we have come from. I want to commend our students for coming tonight. I think it speaks very highly of our students, our teachers, our parents in the district, because I was really proud to have all of our students here present themselves well. And I think we had future, current, and former students come in, and I just really thank them for coming and sharing their actual experience, because they're the ones who are actually in our buildings throughout their educational experience, and our teachers will be there after our students leave the halls. So thank you for all of them for coming and presenting themselves. I was very proud of our students tonight.
I would echo that, and then again reiterate in terms of fiscal responsibility, the longer, if we do not pass this bond this time around, it's not going to change our need for a new school. And it'll become more expensive to build a new school, in addition to more expensive to maintain the existing building, which has a lot of needs. And we have to be able to serve our students who are there the best way possible. So now is the time, in terms of fiscal responsibility, to act.
Well, I think it's so important, as you stated, that we know that through the elementary projects, and we had some students that spoke to that today, we had to go through and get rated by bonding companies. So we annually now have updated ratings. We just, in fact, March 7th, 2019, Moody's Investor Service came back and maintained our AA2 rating, which is a high rating for school districts and in public school districts, and several statements that they made. Number one, Cedar Falls Community School District's credit position is very strong. They talk about our finances, and a statement made overall the district has a healthy financial position. So again, they know that and understand the finances. As you look over those, similar to what our auditor said, it's important to look at these with a very broad-based knowledge and understanding of detail, because when you list something potentially as a liability, it doesn't always mean that there's not a revenue offsetting that, or some other acquisitions or buildings that offset some of those aspects. So it's important to look at that much more than just with a glancing view or a casual statement. So we have professionals and certainly very knowledgeable people that have said, financially, very, very strong. As we look at growth, very, very strong. As we look at the way that our district's been managed, very, very strong.
I did appreciate the, on the website, the listing of ways that we will be intending to use the existing building if and when this bond issue passes. And I did appreciate that. It would help us narrow down some of those other liabilities, including supporting other buildings that we could consolidate.
Exactly, and sell and dispose of. That certainly will be revenue and income to help offset the overall project costs. So very exciting for that as well. So.
And the reason we bought those buildings wasn't because we were fiscally irresponsible. It's because we needed the space. The programming has changed. We were offering different programming. We needed some place to put those students in those programs. So that was a responsible decision as we went along, and this is another responsible decision.
Thank you.
Well, I just say, as a person involved in finance, I do bristle at the fact of comments being made that we're not fiscally responsible. It is managing school finance is very difficult. There's different buckets that you have to fall into. If we were running huge deficits, the Department of Education would have put us out of business a long time ago. Our tax rate is among the lowest of the largest 25 school districts in the state of Iowa. Our finances are not linked in any way, shape, or form to the city. We are completely independent of the fiscal condition of the city. And I will also say that as a business owner, I am not excited about additional taxes at all. That's not something that gets my blood flowing in the right way. However, I will say that we have a premier community. Cedar Falls is a premier community in the state of Iowa. We should also have a premier high school that we can all be proud of and point to as a wonderful facility that we can all be proud of as a good facility for our education and for our community. So thank you all for your very useful comments and great discussion. Janelle.
Good evening. I have kind of a brief presentation tonight. Definitely the topic of the day would be the bond vote. So we're going to go over a few things just to kind of remind our community as far as that date coming up and some things to remember. Again, the vote is June 25th, and the things that we definitely been communicating is that it's would be a safer building that would allow flexibility and is definitely the sound investment. And many of those things that you would read up there have all been covered by different speakers, but all those points we just wanted to reiterate. Also, just wanted to mention, and Dr. Batiste talked about this, but the $100,000 assessed value for what it would be per month, and this has gone down since we did this chart, but this shows over the 20 years of the bond vote how that actual monthly expense would go down because of the assessed valuation across the community, that it's actually not that amount for the life of the bond, but it actually gets almost cut in half over those, the years of the bond. The polls will be open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday, June 25th. Of course, those voters who reside in the Cedar Falls Community School District can vote in the bond. Now, this does include people that have Waterloo addresses but are in Cedar Falls schools. I believe there's also some residents that are surrounding even Janesville area that have different community addresses but are Cedar Falls schools. So those all those people would be able to vote in the election.
And Janelle, just to clarify, they live in the Cedar Falls School District.
Cedar Falls
not that
School
they
District,
attend Cedar
sorry.
Falls. I mean,
Yeah.
they do attend Cedar Falls schools, but they live within the district.
Yes, they live within the district. That's kind of an interesting kind of piece. But yes, we have people that live in other communities but are within the Cedar Falls School District.
And that would include Finchford too as well, is that
Yes.
correct? Thank you.
Yes. So definitely check your voting information. The election office would be able to help you to figure out if you aren't sure where what school district you would be in to be able to vote. The election office is using vote centers for this special election, so you can go to any of the 5 locations. If you're a registered voter, so you can vote at any of these spots: St. John's Lutheran Church, Bethlehem Lutheran Church, Church of Christ, Cedar Heights Community Presbyterian, and Trinity Bible Church. And the website has all this information as well. It's bond.cfschools.org if you want to have figure out any of those addresses or locations. Also, just wanted to mention absentee ballots. If you've requested one, you should have gotten it in the mail by now. You can also go to the election office at the courthouse and vote in person there anytime from now until 4:30 the day before the vote. If you're not registered yet, you can register at the election office and on site at the voting centers on the day of the election. But the requirements for that will be new, so you'll need to have proof of residence and proof of identity to be able to register at the voting centers on the day of. But any questions, please contact the election office. The phone number and email is right there. And we had one satellite voting location today at First Christian Church. The next and only other satellite voting location will be this Wednesday from 8 a.m. to noon at the Cedar Falls Recreation Center. So anybody will be able to go, no matter where you live within the Cedar Falls School District, you'll be able to go to this location and vote. You're actually voting by absentee when you go to a satellite voting location. So you have to fill out the absentee ballot request form and then turn that in, and then they give you the ballot to then vote, and then you turn it back into them in the sealed envelope. So it will be counted as an absentee vote.
If you would have your ballot already, can you take it there and turn it in? Or do you have to do the absentee ballot
yes,
there?
if you already have your ballot, you can go and turn it in. Now, if you think you've requested your ballot and you haven't gotten it and you're not sure, they can answer any of those questions, even at the satellite voting, if you're unsure about that. Also, if you do want to vote by absentee, that request has to be into the election office by this Friday to get the ballot returned in time. Next thing we're going to do is we have done a lot of work with community members across Cedar Falls to kind of get their insight and input and to be able to kind of share that with the community in some videos. So we're going to watch a couple of community members and their perspectives, and then we're actually going to watch the video that kind of explains a little bit more the 2 questions and how to figure the tax rate. So we'll go ahead and do that now.
There's a definite economic impact of this school. I've seen it with multiple people that we've tried to move in here, some of which we've moved in successfully, others we haven't. When people look on paper, they're thinking about moving here into this area. Cedar Falls School stacks up well. That's usually one of the first places they want to go. I can tell you a tour through the high school is always something we have to backpedal from and do damage control and recovery, because it is extremely unimpressive. And I'm sorry, and people might take that personally about, oh, well, are you saying Cedar Falls is bad? No, Cedar Falls is great, but that tour of the school, when they see physically what they're dealing with, it's just not, it's not that it's not quite as good as other places, it's kind of off the map. It's that far down.
The way children learn today is much different than the way we were taught. The way children come up with new ideas and collaborate, we need a facility that allows for that. The other thing that concerns me right now with our current facility is how our most vulnerable students do not have access, and I think we need to be looking at that. We have so many more vulnerable students coming to our high school, and we need a good place for them to also learn.
I've heard people say that the location isn't perfect. I've heard people say that it's too grandiose, and those are easy things to think unless you dig into it and learn about the other locations that are possibilities, or learn about the other schools that are being built and compare this to those. And when you really learn the facts, you come away saying, which I did several years ago, saying, I can't think of a better location. I have no other ideas. I look at other schools that are being built right now, and we're less expensive. So I guess all those things I kind of heard on the street were just things out on the street, and they really don't have any validity to them. So anyone who needs to feel good about this, that's on the fence, needs to just dig in a little bit. There's a website I know that I've checked out that has really all the answers you need.
All right, thank you, Janelle. All right, moving on to next agenda.
Mr. Hassman, just one quick
Yeah.
comment, if you don't mind. I do know that if you have submitted an absentee ballot, you can go to the Secretary of State website for Iowa and check out the status of that, whether it's been mailed to you, whether or not it's been received back to you, and whether or not it's been cast in your name. So that's the Iowa Secretary of State. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff.
And Janelle, did you mention that the absentee ballot requests do need to be received at the election office by
this Friday? Those requests need to be, but you can still vote in person at the election office up until the day before the vote.
But that's the ballot request, not the actual
ballot
ballot.
request, yep.
By this Friday. Thank you.
Any other comments? Great. Next agenda item is approval of substantial completion of Aldrich Elementary School project. Dr.
Oops,
D.
sorry, we've got one more for the communications, and it's a presentation of award. We're very happy to have a representative from CFU here. And Matt, I apologize, I was off on my timing.
It's all right, Andy. Next time, next time. Hello, my name is Matt Heim. I'm the Manager of Energy Services at Cedar Falls Utilities. I'm very pleased to be here this evening with you to present an incentive check For the Aldrich Elementary School, the new construction project incorporated a number of energy efficiency upgrades that makes the operation of that school much more efficient and cost-effective. Cedar Falls Utilities enjoys partnering with the community, our businesses, our school district, and our residents to support those energy efficiency upgrades. So I'm here to present that check.
Thank you.
Matt, you're welcome at our meetings anytime you bring a check.
I thought you might say that, Jeff. Thank you.
And just for the record, the check is for a little bit over. Just for the record, I believe the official amount is a little over $60,000 for the rebates for selecting the energy efficiencies that we did in Aldrich. And we know, just working with CFU, what a wonderful company to work with, a great asset for our community. And certainly these are, working with them to get these efficiencies are going to pay off over the life of that building, very short term, but certainly pay dividends long into the next generations to come. So we're very pleased and honored by that. So thank you, Matt.
And I know I didn't ask earlier, but what will that check be used for then?
That goes to help offset the overall cost of the building. So it just goes in and continues to be reinvested. We knew that there would be a rebate. We actually anticipated a rebate of about $57,000 based on the plans of Aldrich. It came in higher because of the actual as-built is a little bit more efficient than what we anticipated it would be. So that's actually just dollars back in.
It's also a good lesson for what a new high school will allow in terms of efficiencies and money savings for the district over time.
I think Aldrich annually saves about $87,000, I believe, from the reports annually versus what a traditional elementary would be. I think very conservatively, we've talked about $180,000 to $200,000 annually based on what we currently spend at the high school versus what could be spent at a new building and a new site, and that's with air conditioning, that's with better systems, that's with a lot of different other aspects. So very, very accurate.
All right, excellent. Moving on to completion of Aldrich.
Yes, we have a presentation, and I think we've talked about this frequently with some of our budgeting processes, that there's always a time frame where some of the things that you have anticipated to be cost in one fiscal year takes longer. There's an example where, as we always wrap up the project, we know that Aldrich has been opened up. We've had a very successful first year. However, now we're doing substantial completion. So if you pull up the PowerPoint, you'll see that, again, this is substantial completion. It goes through the original contract amount, and it goes through the different components, less some of the work that we did working in conjunction with the city. As most people know, that this is joint property, 20 acres by the city, 20 acres by the school district. You can see all the different testing and insurance and other aspects. The next slide goes into the different components of contingencies and designs and testing wells and all the different grants and other components received for this property. I think, as we've talked about many times, we're very proud and honored that this came in under budget, $26,005. So really, really neat to see the building as it stands, the educational quality, the pride that's within that building. And we've shown that off multiple different times to multiple districts across the state and had open houses. And I think people that walk through there really take that great sense of pride in what that building is and what it means. And certainly that fiscal responsibility to be under budget by that amount. So I guess any questions from board members?
All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School District Board of Education accept as completed the Aldrich Elementary School construction project, less landscaping and street construction work. All claims for materials furnished, labor performed, and/or services provided on this contract must be filed within the next 30 days.
Thank you, Susan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any additional comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to approval of bids.
Okay, if we could pull up the nutrition bids, please, for this evening. We have two different bids this evening to present to the board. And just as a reminder that these are annual requests and are a combination of board policy and the USDA regulations. The first one, obviously, is our milk bid for the 2019 school year. 1920 school year, which is hard to believe is right around the corner. As you can see, these are typical items that we request. We received two bids, Anderson Erickson and Prairie Farms. We are using the escalator pricing versus the firm pricing, and the escalator pricing is done on a monthly formula. This historically has been done by the district, and we've used that escalator pricing, but we currently and do always review to ensure that the pricing is in the best interest of the district, which again appears to be for the 2019-20 school year. As you can see, these are quotes received, and our recommendation for the 2019-20 school year is Anderson Erickson. Our next bid is our bread bid, and as you can see, these are the different items in which we use throughout the district. One note, the bread products are firm pricing rather than the escalator pricing, and our recommendation based on the total estimated quantity is Bimbo Bakeries out of Dubuque, Iowa. Are there any questions in regards to the bids for the 1920 school year?
All right, seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School District Board of Education approve the 2019-2020 bread and milk bid as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Susan, thank you. See no further comment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Moving on to approval of property loss transfer report.
That'd be me again. In the board packet, there's a request, which is an annual request for transfer of dollars from the management fund, and it is the to the appropriate funds of the district deductibles for which this year for PEPL and SAVE and general fund. This is a direct result of the deductibles of various property loss that took place over the course of 2019-20 this year. As you can see from the total amount, it's $13,028. Basically, what this allows by the Code of Iowa is we pay for the losses out of the original funds, and then at the end of the year, the board has the ability to transfer the deductibles from the management fund to those appropriate funds. For reference, from past and reviewing, this is an average request for this year. It's not exceeding, it's not lower, it's pretty average in reviewing past years. And just a reminder, our deductible for vehicles is $250, and then for property loss themselves is $5,000.
So I think you can see from the report, this goes from the far extreme of a lightning strike to the other side of backing into a pole in a parking lot as we remove snow. So it's just kind of a wide variety of different property loss disclaimers.
Mm-hmm.
Any further questions on that? Comments? All right, do I have a motion?
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School Board of Directors approve the property loss deductible transfer of $5,250 to the physical plant and equipment levy, $5,000 to SAVE, and $2,778 to the general fund from the management fund for the 2018-19 school year.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Sasha. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Moving on to approval of district Chromebook bid.
Okay, if we could pull up the PowerPoint. Next slide, please. This year, we are requesting, we had bid for 1,450 Dell Chromebooks. These will be used by our 4th grade, 7th, and 10th graders, as well as 4 elementary media centers. These are replacement refresh, and they are a part of our 10-year PEPL plan, as well as our technology plan. As you can see from the slide here, we had 3 bids, CDW at $368,300. We had Herbs Technology from Cedar Rapids of $323,350, and then Provantage from Ohio for $380,000. And the recommendation for this particular bid would be Herbs Technology of $323,350. And we have used Herbs in the past, and they have been a fantastic vendor to work with for our district.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School District Board of Education approve the bid for 1,450 Dell 3100 Chromebooks with Google operating systems from Herbs Technology Solutions, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in the amount of $323,350 as presented.
Thank you, Susie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jenny. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of banker trust resolution.
The district was recently notified by Bankers Trust that they were acquired by UBM Bank for all their corporate trust businesses. Beginning today, June 10th, UBM Bank will have responsibility as trustee, escrow agent, and paying agent for our debt services. Per Iowa code, the board must take action and on such request. Therefore, we are requesting the approval of UBM Bank located in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, any questions on that?
I guess in short, and Danelle summed this up really well, sometimes banks get acquired, and the bank that we have utilized was acquired. They're still going to have a bank in Iowa, however, it's going to be a different name, and Iowa code's very specific that we have to have a resolution to approve that, even though it's out of our control that they were acquired.
Will this create any new cost for us?
No, no additional cost. No.
Okay. Very good. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School District approve the resolution appointing UBM Bank, N.A. of Kansas City, Missouri, to serve as substitute paying agent, registrar, and transfer agent as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Susie, and this is a roll call vote?
It is. Mr. Haspin?
Aye.
Ms. Hines?
Aye.
Ms. Lance?
Aye.
Ms. Leeper?
Yes.
Mr. Orvis?
Yes.
Ms. Walpert?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Resolution approved. Moving on to approval for authorization of payment for year-end claims.
Last time you'll hear from me. This is an annual request from the business office to make our end-of-year claims for the 2018-19 school year. This is our ability to process those claims that we've missed on the June 10th and to close out the year for June 30th, 2019. It allows us to make those obligations and make those payments. We'll obviously go through the process of audit and presenting these at the next board meeting in July. So that process hasn't changed. It's just allowing us to make those payments prior to the next board meeting.
This is an annual request that is made
It is.
each year, just so, you know, when you look at the GAAP versus cash accounting, to make sure that those payments are made before the fiscal year.
And our fiscal year ends June
30th.
30th.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Any further questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors of the Cedar Falls Community School District give authorization to the Chief Financial Officer for the payment of year-end claims before board approval. A listing of the year-end claims will be submitted to the board at the first school board meeting of the fiscal year.
Thank you, Sasha. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Susan. See no further comment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. All right. Moving on to approval of supervisors, managers, coordinators, transportation department, IT department technicians, and 12-month clerical 2019-2020 salary benefit adjustment. Mr. Delbert.
Thank you. We recommend an average total package, that is wage plus insurance, premiums, IPAs, and FICA, increase of 2.53 for employee groups in Category 1 and 2.54 for employee groups in Category 2. The employee groups to which the increases will apply are as follows. Category 1, 12-month secretarial clerical, information technology services technicians, coordinators, managers, and supervisors. Category 2, bus drivers and bus mechanics. It's further recommended that the board grant the superintendent the authority to exercise his independent discretion in deciding the changes in wages or salary, if any, for individual employees within each employee group, so long as the total cost to the district does not exceed the approved total package increase for each category.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I think it's important to note that is a new way to phrase the recommendation, and it comes from the state auditor working with our attorney in Des Moines to clarify. I think the classic example would be as we look at a $300 per year raise, and it, do the calculation, 2.53, it comes out to $501.72. You make those adjustments. That's the easiest example to make it kind of an easy number. But the state auditor has said that the board has to grant that approval as we make sure that those are the numbers within the complete total package and dollar amount granted by the board. So just trying to make sure that we are authorized and doing the right recommendations based on Iowa code interpretations, our attorney's recommendations, as well as the state auditor. We tried to save payroll from trying to pay out 72 cents at a time. So,
do I have a motion?
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School Board of Directors approve the total package increase of 2.53% for employee groups Category 1 and 2.54% for employee groups Category 2 for the 2019-20 school year. The board further grants the superintendent the authority to use his or her independent discretion in allocating increases, if any, for the employee groups Category 1 and 2, so long as the total cost of the district does not exceed the approved total package increase in each category. It is the board's understanding and intent that this grant of authority and use of discretion by the superintendent may result in some employees receiving more or less than the total package.
Do I have a second? Second from Susie. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none? Is this a general vote or a roll call vote?
No, this is a general vote.
General, all right, very good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to item L, approval of board policies, first of two readings.
yeah, so there's a bunch of policies within the packet. This is something that has been reviewed by members of the policy committee, and I think it's important to note that per Iowa code, we review policies, every policy every 5 years. So we've put this on a cycle, and we have different policies that are now reviewed every year, but based on that 5-year review. So this year it is our 800, 900, and 1,000 series policies, and you'll see that there is not only a summary, but the policies within the packet. So I'm just going to summarize those really, really quickly. There were a few policies outside of the 8, 9, and 1,000 series policies that we're recommending for some additions or changes, and those are based upon our attorney from Des Moines reviewing some policies in the 500 section and the 600 section to make sure that there's alignment. So I'm just going to say and read off policy number 500. There's some changes and updates for alignment purposes per the Allers and Cooney Law Firm in Des Moines. That is the same for 504.4. It's an update per our attorney through Allers and Cooney. 504.5 is the same, and 602.3 is the same reason. All four of those were updated per our attorney to review to make sure we have the right alignment, which aligns now much better with Iowa code. 507.3, we have an annual wellness committee. They recently met, I think, in April, and there are some policy recommendations they made with our wellness committee in that policy. 802.4, it's an update per new code guidelines. We review those to ensure code alignment, so that has been updated to include that new language. 803.1 is an update in title. As we've changed some different titles, we wanted to make sure that was reflected in the policies. 804.1 is per Iowa Association of School Boards and their recommendation as new interpretation of Iowa code has changed. 805.1 is an update to current requirements and practices. We wanted to take out some items that were no longer utilized by the district within that policy. 807.1 is an update per, again, Iowa Association of School Boards recommendation. 808.1 is an update for title purposes, title of individuals, as is 808.1R. It's updating to replace an older title with what the new title is. 902.2 is a replacement with the new Iowa Association of School Board template, which updates language and aligns us with Iowa code that was just recently passed. And then 903.1 is an update with the current process and current practice in the district to align with current policy.
Any questions or comments?
So in short, you're just saying they weren't substantial changes. They're essentially meeting with code. There aren't any huge surprises in.
Yes, and as one of the policy committee members, thank you, because again, it's really kind of redundant at times to read through these and to be able to look at different languages, and we have a tremendous group that does that. So yes, there are not any substantial changes. These are just alignment with code and current practice.
See no further questions or comments. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Cedar Falls Community School District Board of Education approve the first of 2 readings of the Board Policy Series 800, 900, 1000, and additional as recommended.
Thank you, Susie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Sasha.
Quick comment before we vote. Will these be posted online for the public to see?
Yes, very much so, and they already are. So, yep.
All right, see no further comment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to item M, Superintendent's Report.
Just a couple different items. Board retreat, June 12th, 9:30 to noon. July 8th is our next board meeting here at 5:30. And I'd be remiss without saying, thank you to Susan for coming back and joining the board for 2 meetings. We appreciate your leadership and involvement, and certainly your passion for kids, for our system, for our community. So thank you. And also to Dan. This is Dan's final board meeting after 19 years with the district and moving on and into retirement. And we're certainly going to miss his leadership and all that he has provided for us over the course of the last multiple years for our entire community and our students. So thank you to both of you.
Graduation won't be the same, Dan.
Oh, yeah, it will be. No, just let me say, I want to say thanks. It's been a great run for me, both professionally and personally as a family. I recall one of the first meetings I had was with Floyd Winter when I came into this school district, who was retiring from the same position after 20 years. I recall his words saying that you will want to retire from Cedar Falls District, and at the time I thought he's crazy. I said that's not going to happen, but as happens a lot in life, you find a place that it's comfortable, and you've got a great working environment, great people to work with, and a great community to live in. You don't want to leave, and so. I'm happy to be retiring and happen to be doing something different, but enjoyed my time immensely. So thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Dan, thank you very much for all your years of dedicated service to the community and to the school district. Wouldn't have gotten here without you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for probably suffering through how many boards? I know that several of us come on and we're fired up about something. And I mean, I just want to thank you, Dan. I mean, you've been a great mentor to a lot of us, and you got to see us grow as board members, but we've also gotten to see you grow as an administrator and a supporter of our district. So it's big shoes to fill, but thank you so much.
There are some things that I won't miss. I won't lie to you there.
We know that every board meeting that happens, you'll be sitting at home watching on channel.
Be a different perspective, won't it?
Very good. Any other questions or comments from anyone on the board?
I just want to say quickly, Sasha and I were able to, and she attended more than I did, but we were able to sit in on the AP Environmental Science class. They had kind of a summary of their year-end project or semester project, and they studied the lead capabilities of a new high school and what that would mean. And just in terms of environmental awareness in general, it was again, really impressive to be able to see what our students are doing, see the work that our teachers are doing for them. Again, I know we all are very impressed with what happens in the walls of our current building, and there's no question that there are amazing things happening. But I know one of our board goals is to model learning and enhance support and expansion of a positive climate and culture across the district. And I think both from being to that class and hearing from those students and hearing from our students tonight, they are providing great model as far as citizenship and community support for us. So I think we should all be very proud of that, and gives me a lot of hope in what is to come from our students. So.
Yeah, and they were also forward-thinking and thinking about what does this mean for future generations and for our community and for kids of the future and for our sustainability as a society. You know, they just were really dedicated to that work.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
2 events coming up at the end of the month. For the Booster Club, we have the Thursday 20th annual golf outing for Pat Mitchell. Reservations can be taken through the district website, off the athletic page, off the Booster Club page. And then there is the 41st running of the half marathon and 5K on Sturgis weekend on Sunday morning. So get your running shoes.
Thank you, Susie. Seeing no further comments, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you.